Good day, I'm Askat Sherlief with the latest news from Kazakhstan. Kazakh officials received a 7-day term to prepare mechanisms for reforms in the country's law enforcement body. Trying to assert the workers' rights, trade unions got under the pressure of the authorities and big corporations. City authorities of Ust-Kamenogorsk failed to surprise the residents with a fountain that works wrong. No one showed up at the press conference during which the organizers promised to reveal the secrets hidden behind the walls of the Granitny prison. This time, the Penitentiary Systems Committee office wasn't guarded by the extra police officers, and no one really attempted to enter inside the building. It seems that the incident, just like many others, will sink into the information silence, thus taking away the problems of the system from public eye.
Another scheduled press conference organized by Vadim Kuramshin didn't gather a big audience. No one dared to enter the Penitentiary Systems Committee office, while its spokesman came out to journalists himself and said the situation in prisons was stable. Saying reinforced is not correct, and some journalists use the term to tighten the security, which is also an inappropriate way to describe it. We are simply bringing an order, a simple order in compliance with the Kazakh legislation, which no one has right to violate. Oleg Kobza feels more secure when away from Penitentiary Systems Committee office. He was released from the Granitny prison 3 years ago. Oleg is concerned that his ex-superintendents may persecute him for his interview. I will keep up my position until the end, because it's about human lives. Even though some may find that their actions as silly, many people will judge their action, but they have no other choice. The NGO called International Prison Reform considers the latest tragedy in the Granitny colonies an indicator of the system's weakness. What it really means when the internal troops are employed and the Internal Affairs Ministry resources engaged in Justice Ministry problems, this indicates that the latter is not competent and capable enough to deal with its activities. This is simply about a poor management when troops have to step in to settle the issue.
The management shortcomings must be fixed by the upcoming reforms. Starting yesterday, the Kazakh law enforcement agencies took a humanization course. Unscheduled government session was held in Astana, during which officials were discussing the core directions of the administrative reforms outlined by the president. Major changes will apply to the Internal Affairs Ministry. Next report has more.
The Kazakh government held an urgent session yesterday, right after the president's speech about the start of the administrative reforms. The cabinet was given a week term to develop a decree for implementation of the president's tasks. Not in this form. The decision is already made. We only have to execute it properly in 1 week term. The term of the task surprised the finance minister most of all. Polat Jamsheev tried to explain that even the entire ministry will be raised to work over time, the budget code will not allow for covering the expenses in such a short term. But he seemed to forget that questioning the president's decree is not a public thing. Mr. Jamsheev, we have the media here. Prime Minister had assigned his subordinates to develop the implementation mechanisms. For most part, the reforms will concern the Internal Affairs Ministry. Now the police will be deprived from a number of its functions. The tech inspection now will be transferred to the Transport Ministry, while the security activities will go out to private agencies' market. We'll let them decide regarding the detoxification centers. The Justice Ministry oppositely will gain extra functions. Now it will handle the administrative arrests, which according to the reformers will be eventually reduced. The administrative violators will be hid in their pockets and taken under home arrest. For this purpose, the electronic armlets will be purchased to track the offenders. In political terms, these reforms will provide stability of the current regime and aim to reduce the social protest moods. Experts claim that through such reforms, the president is trying to keep and strengthen the current regime. This is obvious, especially when the decree will be prepared as quickly as in 1 week term. It's anticipated to be adopted just as soon.
The Freedom House, international human rights protecting organization, had appealed to President Nazarbayev, asking for amnestying Evgeny Zhovtis, a director of the Kazakh Human Rights Bureau. Last year, the famous human rights defender was sentenced to 4 years of imprisonment after the car accident which resulted in human death. On April 26, the Supreme Court of Kazakhstan had rejected the new trial appeal. The case had caused a public resonance not only in Kazakhstan but also abroad, since Kazakhstan is chairing the OSCE. The country is obliged to comply with international standards of human rights and freedoms provision. Respecting the rights of Evgeny Zhovtis
could have served an indicator of Kazakh leadership in terms of human rights, was said in the appeal of the Freedom House organization. It is unknown if the letter reached the addressee, but the detention conditions for Zhovtis were eased eventually. Yesterday, on the eve of convict's 55th birthday, the prison administration let Zhovtis leave the colony for 5 hours. Zhovtis is detained for 1 year, and amongst fellow inmates, he was the only one who wasn't allowed to leave the territory of the colony.
In Shymkent, the Architecture and Construction Inspection Agency tried to demolish the building, which allegedly had no proper documents. Was it a mistake or a wise settlement? Next report has details.
Be careful, the beam can fall. The Shymkent State Architecture Construction Control Agency has made a mistake by demolishing the wrong house. This is all that has left from the house of Angelika Yugay. The mother of 3 is confident that her property was demolished on purpose. The officials from the State Architecture Construction Control Agency have asked me to give my property away to the city. Why should I do this? I'm a lonely mother. I'm not asking anything from the state. I'm raising children alone. No one gave me anything for free. The heating main, the school and the local museum's fence were also partially destroyed by the demolition. In fact, only the hotel was set for demolition, which was located near Yugay's house. The owner of the hotel, Aristan Ishanov, recalls how he tried to explain to the workers that they are demolishing a wrong building. This was done on purpose. I told the engineer that he should demolish my building, but not the neighboring one. The authorities have even tried to compile discrediting evidence over the victim. Supposedly, the owner has violated the law by turning the house into a commercial object. According to the law, the purpose of the landlord has to be changed. It is necessary to have the permission of the city mayor and prepare an act of the building plan. At the moment, the landlord has commercial objects on them, a store, cafe and offices. Angelika Yugay has appealed to the court in order to stop the demolition. Currently, the demolition of the house was abolished by the prosecution office. The demolition, though, might begin at any moment if the court will not accept the mistake of the authority.
Kazakh railway industry representatives have also appealed to the prosecutor's office. Each year, about $7 million are stolen from the state Kazakhstan Temirzholi enterprise in its Aktobe branch alone. It was stated by the chairman of the Adil Jol initiative group, Aldabergen Aybagambetov, during a press conference in Almaty yesterday. Retired workers of the industry came to the capital to reveal the violations of the enterprise. Next report has more.
The former workers of the Aktobe department of the Kazakh Railroad are accusing the leadership of the company in the large-scale embezzlement of financial assets. Aldabergen Almagambetov, the leader of the Adil Jol Association, has arrived to Almaty to provide information over the embezzlement. According to the speaker, the leadership of the Aktobe department steals $7 million annually via document forgery. Only 6 out of 1,500 workers of the Aktobe Railroad department dared to make a step against corruption. I think that we were fired because we were not stealing money, and they were, so we were an obstacle for them. I see nothing else besides this. The reason for the dismissal is that Kazakhstan Temirzholi wants to continue making money. The fired workers of Adil Jol Association are writing complaints to the General Prosecution Office, Financial Police and the President. However, the commissions created upon the facts of their appeals have not found anything criminal in the actions of the Aktobe leadership. I can say that all of the accusations are groundless. There were many inspections from the prosecution office. Excuse me, please, I have work to do, okay? The scandals around the Kazakhstan Temirzholi are very often. The dismissals of the workers who disagree with the policies of the leadership happen almost in all other branches. The same stories happen in the regional branch Express that serves the Almaty region. For instance, the current deputy head of the branch, Roza Shamsuddinova, was fired by the leadership of the Kazakhstan Temirzholi 4 times, as she stood against the policies of the company and openly talked about the embezzlements. It took her 5 years to reach justice through the court. Adil Jol members are waiting for the same thing, but for 3 years. But Almagambetov says that every commission proves that the corruption in Kazakhstan Temirzholi is invincible.
Yesterday, activists in Almaty addressed the problems of trade unions and their increasing role. Since the beginning of the year, there were 20 strikes registered in Kazakhstan. Almost in all of these cases, the heads of the trade unions were pressured by the authorities. Leader of the Talmas movement, Aynur Kurmanov, claims the situation is on the edge of an explosion.
Kazakh authorities persecute the leaders of the independent trade unions, while major enterprises suppress the labor activists within their staff. Such alerts are raised by trade unions from all over the country. One of them is the Talmas movement, led by the socialist Aynur Kurmanov.
Здесь нужно организовать общий фронт борьбы против...
We have to create a unified front for struggling against this despotism by big corporations as well as local authorities who defend the interests of foreign investors.
зарубежных инвесторов.
In 1,000 kilometers away from Almaty, Kurmanov's concerns are shared by the leader of the miners' family organization, Natalia Tamilova. Just recently, the city authorities have broken up the meeting of local miners with German trade union representatives and even threatened Tamilova with 15 days of detention. She also observes the informational attacks by local mass media on her organization. We came to conclusion that they don't want to cover the truth in the newspaper, therefore we demand an official contradiction, otherwise we'll sue them. Amongst strikes held in 2010, there are oil workers from Kashagan, Kazmunaygaz in Aktau and Aturau, the Kazakh Mys Corporation employees in Jeskazgan, ArcelorMittal Temirtau in Karaganda, as well as workers of the sugar plant in Taldykorgan. Then Chinese CNPC Corporation workers in Aktobe have protested along with railway hostesses in Ust-Kamenigorsk. Meanwhile, the workers of the Zeleninostroi and subway construction in Almaty achieved the salary payment after some protests. In Astana, journalists of the state information agency Kazinform faced the same situation. There were more than 20 major and long-term strikes registered in Kazakhstan this year. In most of them, the trade unions didn't really play any role, while they were coordinated by independent labor unions. Today, the trade unions are nothing, to speak a rough way. Indeed, the trade unions have no real power. We don't even have rights for legislation initiative in the parliament, as we are not represented there. The trial initiated by workers to assert their rights for social benefits and wage ended in favor of the employers. Aynur Kurmanov says the officials are protecting the interests of foreign investors and major companies against the interests of ordinary citizens of Kazakhstan. Now the trade union activists intend to consolidate with their fellows from all over the country in order to protest jointly in autumn.
After installation of sculptures, the Ust-Kamenogorsk city administration had installed a new decoration right on the bridge in central downtown. Fountain has quickly become a real challenge for the city residents, as it literally showers off everything around on windy days.
An unusual fountain was launched on the very bridge right in the downtown of Ust-Kamenigorsk city, but instead of enjoying the new installation, residents literally pass by it, as even a small wind makes the fountain shower off the highway and sidewalk. It's terrible, can't believe it. Trying to avoid the showers, pedestrians started violating the traffic regulations by crossing the road in prohibited spots or walking right on the highway. The water attraction is the idea of the city mayor, who said it was rational to use the natural water resources in making the city more attractive. Despite the residents' complaints, city officials call the fountain a unique installation, the only one, not only in Kazakhstan, but in all former Soviet Union. It's our first experience working with fountain in the river. Of course, there are some shortcomings. Now we'll consider the weather conditions so it won't shower off pedestrians and the traffic. The solemn opening ceremony of the fountain is anticipated in the end of August. Officials claim it will be timed to the 290th anniversary of the Ust-Kamenigorsk city. The authorities also say that fountain is the part of preparation for hosting the upcoming Kazakh-Russian Inter-Regional Cooperation Forum to be attended by the presidents of both countries.
This is all for now. Thank you for watching us. See you tomorrow.